So fireworks are going off tonight, and at some point I realize that Paul is watching me really intently. I mean, so intently that I actually say to him, honey, is everything okay? Is there something you'd like to tell me? He's like, no, it's a great show, right? It's a great show. And yes, you're watching all the fireworks, right? I'm like, yes. And I'm not really sure what's going on until about 10 minutes later, when in fireworks up in the air it says, "Will you marry me, Sarah? Love, Paul." Only it doesn't say this so clearly, see, because it's fireworks, so it's sort of like, "Will you marry me?" Me came out nicely. I could actually tell that it said Sarah, and then it was like, Paul. So I see it, and I think, it's a weird firework. It kind of looks like, "Will you marry me, Sarah, Paul?" And I start to get it. And as I'm processing this, I look over, and Paul's like, doing that thing that people do when they're waiting for you to say something. And I'm like, "Did you?" He's like, "Yeah." He's really proud of himself. It's pretty freaking cool, I have to admit. And he pulls out the rock. Yeah. It's, what? 2-3 carats. I'm sure it's the best. He only buys the best. And I said yes. I said yes. I think I even gave a squeal for good measure. Woo! Yay! I'm so excited. But the reality is, I'm settling. I mean, I don't know if you can really call it settling, because, okay, it should tell you something that he can afford to have those kind of fireworks put into a show, that he knows people and that he can afford to do that, right? He can afford this ring, and I'm sure he didn't even dig into credit to do this. I'm sure he probably paid in cash. And, it's Tiffany's, only the best. He's taken me on 3 vacations over the past year. 4 if you count visiting his family, but I don't really count that as a vacation. But he did pay for it, and we didn't stay with them. We stayed in a hotel. So that was sort of my request. I met them last year. They came to visit. Yeah, I didn't want to stay with them. So, I mean, he's great to me. He's great to me. He's smart. He's funny, but not my kind of funny. I always feel like someone would get him more than I do, would think he's funnier than I do, because I know he's a certain type of funny, but it's just not my funny. And he opens doors, and he's pretty much the perfect man on paper, but not for me. So you're probably wondering why I agreed to marry him. I mean, let's face it. I'm in my mid-30s. My clock is going crazy. It only started going crazy over this past 6 months, right? You're going along, you're thinking things are well, you're dating this guy, he's nice, he's well off, he treats you well. There's no reason to leave. I mean, the sex is so-so, but hey, everything else looks good. And then your hormones kick into overdrive and you find yourself looking at babies and going, babies, babies, babies. Oh, look at those babies. They're so cute. I want one. And you find yourself picturing yourself like very Bridget Jones, alone for the rest of your life, single, with your cats and maybe your dog. Whatever other furry creature seems to float your boat. Lonely, desperate, and alone. You start picturing this with greater detail. It seems realer, closer. You start thinking, maybe this guy is not so bad. Maybe I am being too harsh. Maybe I want too much. All these things. And so, when Paul proposes on 4th of July via fireworks, you say yes. And then you tell him that you would love to go home with him, but you have to walk your dog. Which is not necessarily true, because your friend Sarah has already agreed to walk the dog if you need it. But you're not calling Sarah. I know, it's weird that I have a friend named Sarah too, but she spells it with an H. I don't have an H, so yeah. But you find yourself coming home. You don't call anyone. You don't bust open the Veuve Clicquot in the fridge because it doesn't feel like a celebration. It feels like a failure of sorts. But in saying yes to this, you're saying no to the possibility of something greater, bigger, brighter, better. And then you think you selfish girl, you want too much. This Paul is wonderful. He's smart and funny, but not your kind of funny. And Sarah says, you know, don't take this the wrong way, but I don't get it. You two? I just don't get it. What do you mean? She's like, just, I don't know. I don't see you laugh as much as I normally do when you're with him, and it just doesn't seem like you guys quite fit. Yeah, well, that's because we don't, Sarah. That's because we don't. And I'm going to show her this tomorrow because she's going to see it and she's going to freak out, and I'm going to say, well, he's funny. And inside I'm going to be thinking, but not my kind of funny.